Okay, hey, welcome back. This is part 2 of our chapter 11 video. Um, so I'm going to pick up here with this graph that's straight out of the book. It's figure 11.4 in the book. And it's kind of tricky, but it's sort of an important thing to understand. So this applies not just to monopoly, but any business with any degree of market power. So anything but perfect competition. Um, the layout of this with the demand and the marginal revenue is kind of tricky. So I'm going to get a laser pointer here. So a monopoly or a business with any kind of market power has this downward sloping demand curve, just like a market demand curve. That's because they are not price takers, they're price setters. So they can raise their price and they'll lose some of their quantity demand, some of their customers, but they're not going to lose all of them. So they can lower the price to get more customers and so on. So the monopolist, a business with monopoly power, has the ability to kind of play around with their price to see what makes them the most profit. The tricky part of this graph is understanding why the marginal revenue curve is down here kind of inside of the demand curve. And so try to follow along here. This is why I have the laser pointer. Let's just say you have been selling your product at a price of $7 up here. You've been selling 3 of them, so 7 times 3 gives you your total revenue of $21. Now, let's say you decide, well, I want to sell 4 items. I want to sell more next week or next month. In order to do that, to sell 4, you have to lower your price to 6. So 6 times 4 means you have a total revenue of 24. So your marginal revenue, your additional revenue from selling 1 more was only $3. Some people are confused by that because they say, well, wait, the price of that last item I sold was $6. So why did my marginal revenue increase by 6? The reason for that is you were selling 3 at a price of $7. In order to sell 4, you have to lower your price to $6. And you didn't just lower the price for that 4th customer, you're lowering it for all 4 customers. So instead of 7 times 3 equals 21, you've got 6 times 3 equals 24. So even though the price is up here at 3, the marginal revenue is down here at, it seems like it should be 3 up here, but anyway, something like that. Something like that. Marginal revenue is 3 when the price was 6. Anyway, back it up, watch it again if you need to, but that's the explanation of why the marginal revenue is inside of the demand curve. Okay, here's another slide right out of the book. Again, this applies not just to monopoly, but any business with monopoly power, even if it's not a pure monopoly. So you'll see this graph again in the next couple of chapters. So we have the same demand curve and marginal revenue curve that we just went through. Now we add in a marginal cost curve, and I'm going to ask you to apply the marginal decision rule. So hopefully, if you haven't committed that to memory yet, do it now. Marginal decision rule is really important. It tells us that every business maximizes profit at the quantity where marginal costs and marginal revenue intersect. And in this case, that will be at point G. So that's the intersection of marginal cost and marginal revenue. But what's new now is the price that they're going to charge. When we did this for perfect competition, you found that intersection point, you went right straight over to the price axis, and that's the price they charge. But in this case, since the business has monopoly power, it can charge a higher price. It's going to go straight up to the demand curve, because the demand curve tells us the highest price that business can charge to sell a quantity of QM. So they're going to sell a quantity of QM, go up to E at a price of PM. So this is basically the graphic explanation of the fact that a business with monopoly power tends to charge a higher price. I'll compare that with a perfectly competitive market soon. But one more slide. I'm going to add in one new thing. This is the same graph with the addition of now an average total cost. So that's like a company's average cost of production. So to find average cost, you just find your total cost, take the quantity that you produce, the total cost divided by quantity, that gives you your average total cost. So this is important if you're trying to figure out if you're making a profit. If you want to know if a monopolist is making a profit, you first apply that marginal decision rule. So find the quantity where marginal revenue, marginal cost intersect. That's here at G. Then you use the demand curve to find the price you're going to charge. So that's off of point E, price is PM. Then you simply ask, is that price higher than their average total cost of production? And E here is way above F, so yes. So what that means is this difference is profit. Basically, that green rectangle shows you that this monopolist is making a profit. So that's how you use these curves to figure that question out. Okay, last slide. I got plenty of time. That's good. Just now learned I can move that picture around. Cool. So the graph on the left shows you the graph of perfect competition. Remember that the marginal revenue curve was horizontal and equal to price, because in perfect competition, every business is a price taker. They're selling an identical product at the same price as everybody else. So no matter what quantity you sell, it's all going at the market price. So the marginal revenue curve is horizontal and equal to price. And basically, for one firm's purposes, that's their demand curve, because it tells you what quantity you're going to sell at what price. Basically, any quantity you sell, it's going to get you the same price. So in this case, applying the marginal decision rule means marginal revenue equals marginal cost right here. The price they're going to charge is here. So this business, a firm in a perfectly competitive market, is expected to make zero economic profit. Jumping over here, anytime you have imperfect competition, such as monopoly or monopoly power, you do what we just did on the previous slide. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost of point G. Price charge is going to be way up here, PM. If we had an average total cost curve, which you had on the last slide, you would have found this company is making an economic profit. So basically, this tells you a couple things. It's graphic explanation of what we already knew, which is that companies with monopoly power are able to charge a higher price and make more profit. And if you see either one of these graphs, you can start to tell something about the market structure. If you see one like this on the left, where marginal revenue is a horizontal line, you know you're in perfect competition. See the graph on the right, you know you're not in perfect competition. You don't know which exact market structure is, but you know you're not in perfect competition. So I think that's my last slide. That's it. I got a minute left, so I played around with the camera angle. I don't know if it's better high or low, but since you can see it here, I'm going to throw in a bonus point question for those of you who are watching the videos. How do I normally get to work? There's the answer. So email or text me the answer to that question. How does Rob normally get to work? And I'll give you another bonus point. All right, thanks. I'll see you in chapter 12.